Hello and welcome back to the Right Passion Podcast, where we delve into the fascinating world of superheroes. In today's episode, we're rising from the shadows with Batman Begins. Batman Begins is one of the three movies Christopher Nolan directed in his Batverse. I love these movies because they were so different. It was like a breath of fresh air because around this time is 2008, so we're wrapping up Spider-Man's, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man's, and some of the X-Men films that came out. So this is more of a darker tone or take on a superhero because we have Spider-Man who's so friendly and he's a friendly neighborhood superhero, and then we have the X-Men. They have their own stand. We saw Last Stand and all these things, but then we have Batman who's just dark and brooding. Like the trilogy is something else, and that's why I had to start with Batman Begins, because it's a refreshing take on a superhero, and it just shows you how different heroes are. And this film wasn't really just a superhero film. It was an identity film. It was showing us who we can become when we utilize the good things and the bad things that happen in our life. So, saying all that to say this, what can we learn from Batman Begins? What are some lessons and some things that Batman Begins, the film, portrayed? There's a number of them, and I have a few that I want to share today. Notably, the first one, pain. Pain can be a pathway to purpose. Pain is something that we always want to look past, and we're just trying to avoid because we don't like pain. No one likes the feeling of emotional pain or physical pain. But pain is something that can help us grow. So in Batman Begins, starting out, Bruce loses his parents. He faces this tragedy of losing his mom and his dad right in front of him after watching this Broadway film at the downtown Gotham, I don't know what you call it, theater, but he was out there with his family just enjoying his time. They left early because of his fear of bats, and I'm gonna get into that in the next point. And it just cost them their lives. It was very painful for him because this was his family. He didn't have anyone else to go to besides his butler, and he loses them right in front of him. Can you imagine the pain he felt? And the mugger just looked at him and ran away. So he had to feel that. He had that feelings of emotional pain, probably some PTSD, all of these things, and he had to just keep going with his life. It was hard for him because thereafter, when they found the person who took his parents' life, it was like he had this personal vendetta against him. He wanted to get vengeance, and later on, he didn't know or realize this, but this pain was basically creating his mission. It was showing him his mission in his life. And at first, he was just in denial because he didn't want to believe that this happened. This didn't happen, but it did, and it shook him to his core. It made him have to really look at himself and decide, what is it that I really want to do with this life, or what is it that I'm going to do? He started asking himself these questions. I believe at a young age because at first it's rough for him because he doesn't know who he can rely on, who he can talk to. It's just all brand new for him. But this helps him to realize his mission. It starts to paint a perfect picture of who he wants to be and who he needs to be. And it wasn't Batman at the time. He didn't know the name would be Batman, but it was a protector. He wanted to help people and serve people that were in the same predicament or felt as low as he did as a child. He wanted to come back and save them and provide justice to them so they don't experience that same feeling of hopelessness, worry, fear, grief, all of that. He didn't want anyone to experience that. And that's why he decided to become Batman, or the shining light. But he didn't know it was Batman at first. He just knew his mission and purpose was to become something more than what he was. And we can trace that back to our lives. It's situations and circumstances that happen that create massive amount of pain in our lives. And the pain, granted we don't want it, is useful. It's good because this is showing us what we can do to change, like, or not only just change our true purpose in this life, because your true purpose in this life might not be revealed by the good things all the time. It might be revealed by things that happen that you don't want to happen. The losses, the tragedy, being shaken to your core to the point where you can't even think straight, or you can't think like you used to. And this causes the true change, or you to actually go out and figure out what it is you want to do in this world. So look at pain as a pathway for you to figure out what it is you need to get done. Or it basically is a tool, just like any other emotion, to help you to get to where you need to be and do what you need to do in this life. And number 2, face your fears and use them. Bruce, he was afraid of bats as soon as he fell into that well. He was not with it with those bats. He didn't want nothing to do with them. He despised them. He was scared of them. And that first moment when he fell into the well and he saw those swarm of bats, he was just afraid. That feeling of fear just clung onto him. But as he got older, he started to think about it. He thought about the fear that he felt from the bats and just really contemplated on his fear. Then after some thought, he actually decided this could be a symbol. This could be a symbol of hope. This could be a symbol of fear for the criminals that he's going against every day at the streets of Gotham, because Gotham was not the best. It was a horrible community where people were just dropping like flies. But he saw that his fear, he could use it as a symbol of hope, protection, justice, and fear for the right people. So he faced his fears. He felt the fear and did it anyways. Like we said in multiple episodes, when you feel the fear, you might feel fearful of certain things. But if you can feel it and do whatever you need to do anyways, you're just marrying this thing, you're creating confidence and courage in yourself. Because when you face those fears, I've said it over and over again, you unlock that courage is lying dormant in you. And so you'll be able to rise up and be more confident than you've ever been. I'll say this too. Whenever you feel fearful about something, that's the tax that you get for basically wanting to do whatever you want to do in this life. You know, when you make a purchase, right before you make a purchase, it's a tax that comes with it. And you have to pay that to get whatever you want, along with the, merchandise price. But it's what you want. Because if you think about it, if you weren't fearful, stressed, anxious, or whatever you're feeling about it, you wouldn't want to do it. It's only those things that create this mix of emotion, of crazy emotions, that you want to do certain things. And when you face them, you can only imagine what type of confidence, courage, good feeling you'll feel from facing that thing that you were scared of or anxious about. And that's how Bruce felt when he was in the League of Shadows and decided to face those fears. He took the fear on and still battled, trained every day, mentally, physically, spiritually. He took that challenge on and it just kept growing him. His growth was exponential. So if his growth was exponential, think about yours too. If you have a fear of heights, fear of public speaking, fear of just being around people, why not just take baby steps and going and watching videos of the thing that you're fearful of, watching other people do it? Because I found that we all don't have the same fears. Some people might be more fearful of one thing than you are. Like some people might be afraid of spiders and you might be afraid of public speaking. So find someone or something, or really someone who is doing the thing you want to do, watch them, observe them, and see that your fear might just be irrational. That's how Bruce did, because he was like, well, I can't just face this fear and just stop it in one fell swoop. I have to position myself to be able to face it. So he took baby steps, he learned, he grew, and then he eventually just tackled it head on, became Batman. So do the same for yourself. Take baby steps when you're looking at your fears. Take it really slow. Don't just jump right in, because then you'll get scared. Just take it real slow, and then eventually you'll be able to not only tackle that fear head on, but you'll also use it. Use it to do what you want to do in this life. And along with doing that, you have to have discipline. Because this is the third point. Discipline is the key to transformation. Motivation, it can be up and down for you, but discipline will never fail you. It's been times where Bruce did not want to do the things that he had to do. He didn't want to wake up and do his 1,000 push-ups and 2,000 crunches or whatever it was in the film, but he did it anyways. He decided when he lost his parents and after seeing the criminal underground, he decided that he was going to go and live a life as a nomad. And in doing that, he went through various trials and tribulations until he ran into the League of Shadows. And in the League of Shadows, that's where he had to become disciplined. He was tested each and every day. And through those tests and those trials and tribulations, that training, that's how he was able to become Batman. Because he didn't do it overnight. It wasn't just this, oh, I'm just going to decide to become Batman and boom. Nope, it was training, it was sacrifice, it was commitment. He sacrificed who he was for who he wanted to become. And sacrifice, when we think about it, we'll think about, oh, we got to sacrifice friends, family, this and that. It's not always just, or it could be that, but it's not really that. It's really who you are at this current moment. When you are trying to transform and do something new, you have to sacrifice who you are for who you could become. And that's not easy because it's going to be days, it's going to be times, it's going to be trials that come that knock you down. And the only thing you got is your discipline. That's the only thing you can rely on because the discipline is going to keep you motivated and, well, not really motivated. It's going to keep you doing things because you may feel motivated one day to do something. The next day you might not feel motivated. The next day you might not even feel at all. But you just know that the discipline is going to keep you going and moving and taking action. Because if you think about it, think about discipline and momentum in the same thing. It's like this. When you're disciplined, you're able to keep the ball rolling. So think of the ball as this. Like you're on the top of a snow hill, right? And you've got this small snowball. It's like yay big, right? So as you're going to just make it into this ball, put it at the top of the hill, kick it off, just knock it off. This is what discipline and momentum tied together looks like. As it goes down the hill, it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, have you ever seen the episode on SpongeBob when they saw that big old snowball? It was huge. So that's what happens when you're disciplined and you keep taking action. You create this momentum, and pretty soon you don't even know what you created. It's just something new, something crazy. And like when people first saw Batman, do you think people were like, oh, yay, we got a new savior? No, they were scared. It was like, what is this thing? It's a man bat. And Batman Begins, there was a lot of crazy stuff that was going on. People were just, they were losing their mind. They was losing their minds when they saw Batman because they was like, what is this thing? But Bruce knew all along what he was doing, and he understood that discipline was the key to his transformation. Because in being disciplined, you're staying consistent, and when you stay consistent, as I said, back to that snowball, it's gonna go all the way downhill to that thing. It was like this big, is gonna be so huge you won't even be able to carry it. Now just imagine that, and that's you and your actions. So whatever it is you want to do, try to make sure that you stay consistent, stay disciplined. Create a system and do it day in and day out. Do the same thing over and over and over again until you get that result. And once you get that result, just keep going. Don't stop. Keep it moving, because discipline is not a one-trick pony. It's not a one-time thing. It's a everyday thing. It's a all the time. And in being disciplined, well, for you to be disciplined, you got to know your why. That's the third point. Know your why. Or fourth. I can't count. But knowing your why helps a lot. Bruce knew his why. He knew why he wanted to become Batman, but it wasn't rooted in the best virtues at first. At first, his why was fueled by anger and vengeance. He wanted to get back at the criminal that took his parents and do so for the same people. For people that lost their parents, he wanted to just be, I guess you'd say, a brutalizer, or somebody that just came around and he stopped evildoers. And it was good. What he wanted to do was good, but it wasn't rooted in the right virtues. So he had to change it. He later shifted his why from being focused on anger and vengeance to justice and protection. And yet he still was able to get off some emotions when he did his crime fighting. But it helped him to understand who he was and what he was trying to do in Gotham, because at first he did not care. He was fueled by anger, rage, vengeance, but it helped him. And ideally, ironically, it happened before he got to Gotham. In the League of Shadows, he was able to make that transformation and come back as a symbol of hope, being Batman. So the deeper why gave him clarity. This gave him a clear perspective in what he wanted to do in the world and Gotham, so he could come back with a renewed sense of energy, confidence, and just something new, a new hope for Gotham. And we have the ability to do the same thing, because when you get clear on your why, you get very crystal clear on why you're doing something. It's just like the roadmap that'll help you to start or keep going, because sometimes when we're doing things, we don't know why we're doing them. Like, if you ever, well, don't do this, but if somebody's just working out, if you go ask them why, they'll tell you why. And if someone else is doing something, they can't tell you why. Like, don't you just look at them crazy? You just be like, wait, you can't tell me why you're doing something or why you're so involved in this activity? Is that kind of weird? So you're just doing it just because? Does that mean you'd stop anytime? And they'll probably look at you and be like, yeah, I don't. Because when you don't have a why, you don't have a deeper knowing of why you're doing things, you're like the wind. Some days you go hard, some days you go just soft and gentle. You just have no direction. And just imagine that you don't know what you're doing in this world, and you're not living no life. You're living a lie, because you don't know what you want to do. And it's kind of sad, because you're just drifting. But we're not drifting with this podcast. You're not drifting. You're using all the things that you're learning and growing each and every day, because we're living a life. But back to what I was saying, the why, as soon as you get crystal clear on what it is and you get a deep understanding of it, just watch how your actions change. Because when you're operating out of your why and what you're supposed to do, as I said, it gives you clarity and it gives you confidence, because now you know what you want exactly, and you're able to face it head on and know which actions, people, and things you need to surround yourself with to get that ultimate goal. You might start weeding things out, because ironically, for you to be successful, it might not necessarily be you. It might not be you taking the new action. It might be you taking out some actions or taking some things out of what you do in your daily activities. So just get crystal clear on your why. Look at it every day and review what it is that you should probably be doing or not be doing. Who you should be surrounding yourself with. What is it that you're consuming? Just really get crystal clear on it, because the more clarity you have, the easier the actions will be to take. Or not even that, you'll make better decisions and take more action towards that. Because when you don't know what you're doing, you won't know how to get there. When you don't know your why, you don't know where you're going or why you're doing anything. You're running around in a circle. That's horrible. You don't want to be doing that, because you're better than that. But Batman Begins has numerous, that's crazy, but has numerous gems and things we can learn from. The lessons in this movie is just exponential. If we go back to facing fear was just such a central role in that movie. Like, you had Batman Bruce Wayne overcoming his fear of bats, and then we have Crane, one of the antagonists that use fear. So fear was just riddled in that city. But as I said, back to it, when you use fear as a tool, you can get yourself going. You can actually gain confidence, courage, and grow yourself. But all in all, this film is just an amazing start to a remarkable trilogy of Batman. I need everyone to go check out the movies. Just study Batman, study the body language of Bruce Wayne, because he was just able to maneuver in such a graceful way that people didn't even notice or understand what he was really doing. Him being dual identity identified whatever you want to call it. He's Bruce Wayne and then Batman. He was just able to play so many roles and took some things out of the 48 Laws of Power. How he would set up smoke screens and have people thinking one way instead of realizing the other way. Like lastly, when he had his party and when he was in the scene that he was basically telling people to leave by being rude and honest and mean, he was actually saving them because Ra's al Ghul and his army was coming to tear down his home. And the only way he could get all these rich people out was by telling them off. And granted, it didn't look good, but he was happy they were still alive. So after saying all this, check out Batman Begins. Start watching the movie. Figure out what it is you can take from him. Is it the body language of Bruce Wayne? The confidence and boldness from Batman? Or just the charisma that Bruce Wayne brings about when he's going out and about in his daily life? Figure out what it is you can take from him. Come back, drop it in the comment section.